So I've been seeing this online. I've been meaning to address it, and there's been certain Asian people on here, and I know that they do not represent the entire Asian community when I say this. So anyone in the Asian community that's been following what I'm saying, that supports what I'm saying, that supports rights and freedom, and just good vibes for all. This ain't David, y'all. So hopefully y'all don't take offense to this. But for those in the Asian community that are going after the black community, y'all need to stop. Okay? Y'all need to stop showing out for crackies, because they are not y'all's friends. Last time I checked, crackers are the only people that have ever dropped an atomic bomb on Japan. They are the only people that have dropped Agent Orange on Vietnam. They are the only people that did the My Lai massacre. And that's just off the top of my head. So white people are not y'all's friends. They have never been. Crackers have never been y'all's friends. But the black community has had y'all's backs. Like, any rights y'all have is because of the rights that black America fought for. So y'all need to really recalibrate who's on your side and who's had y'all's backs and who's y'all's enemies. Because white people are not y'all's friends. They never have been. And unless something major changes in white culture, they're going to keep going and do the same shit they've always been doing. And y'all going to be catching the brunt end of it just along with everyone else that isn't them. So, just let y'all know.
Gay, Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. But the problem is our communities are divided. For Asian Americans and for African Americans, we probably have one of the worst relationships between any community.
Well, I bet you a lot of Asian Americans too don't, in my experience, don't even realize that if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, there would not be 22 million Asian Americans in this country.
Thank you. What I have been trying to teach the Asian community is like, friends, do you understand that your success, your prosperity, your civil rights that you enjoy right now was paid for with black blood?
Asians are getting mad at black people because black people don't want to support their businesses anymore, and it's very ridiculous. Instead of getting mad at us, do better. Anytime I see a video of a black person going to an Asian business, there's always some racism, majority of the time. I'm not saying all of them are racist, but majority of them are racist. Why are you guys mad at us? Why don't y'all support each other? Sure, we shouldn't divide ourselves. Oh, why are we dividing ourselves? But there's only so much us black people could do when y'all don't like us. So it literally exists. I saw this person saying black people don't like Asians. Black people being glazing Asians. Y'all are the ones that be worshiping the white people and start hating us.
Is this white man, without having no fear, he has just come out and said the truth to the Asian people. He has told them how these people they are. He has come out and said that for years, these people, they have been disrespecting the wrong people. You have been loyal to the wrong people. Black people fought for your civil right. They showed you love. They opened doors for you in this country, and this is what you have given them in return. So right now we are seeing that black people, they are boycotting Asians' businesses in America. They are boycotting simply because of anti-blackness, racism, and disrespect. Guys, I want you to continue watching these compilations of video, and kindly remember to give a video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Watch this and be back with more comment.
So many Asian Americans show their entire anti-black backside in videos and comment sections regarding the acquittal of Rick Chow and the call to boycott Asian businesses, and now the cross burning in Chicago has been a masterclass in how racism is narcissistic abuse, because so many wisecrackers are out here yelling and screaming as though black people somehow did something to us when all they want is to be left alone. So first of all, Rick Chow was acquitted. I don't know how anybody with a shred of intellectual honesty or morals can be at peace with that, but Rick Chow was acquitted. So for you to be making videos or going into black people's comment sections arguing as if they're the problem and you're somehow the victim because you feel unpopular in this moment because Rick Chow was acquitted is narcissism at best and malicious hatred at worst. As for the boycotts, Asian Americans are not entitled to black people's money. Plain and simple. Business 101, provide quality goods, quality service, and treat your customers with respect. But if you've made a habit of providing subpar goods and subpar service and disrespecting your customers, rest assured, your business is not being judged on the basis of one Rick Chow. Your business is being judged for what it is. If you go into a black neighborhood and open a business and you've made a habit of treating black customers like they're the problem, pitching a fit and playing victim when your black customers say we won't be bothering you anymore is narcissistic abuse.
The roots of anti-blackness handed down to the Chinese, formerly known as Chinamen by our mutual colonizer. Now she gets it. Roll it.
Chinese people have been up to... So here I am. People in China have posted videos of themselves physically abusing black dolls. Like it's normal behavior, and they're just like, oh, this is what I do after a stressful day at work. Are you out of your mind? What have black people ever done to you? Have you ever met one? Have you ever met one and not acted like a complete weirdo around them? Have you actually ever had a black friend? Probably not. But today I wanted to talk about where a lot of the anti-blackness in Chinese culture comes from, specifically Chinese. First, there's our language. The way we talk about the sun and going out in the sun, 你不要晒黑 is something that every Chinese kid has heard from their parents. It literally means do not turn black. Colloquially, it means do not get tan, but verbatim, word for word, it means do not turn black. Oh yeah, and if you get too tan, your parents will say that you look like a black person as an insult. I don't want to hear any of you saying this to your kids. If you hear any of your friends saying it to their kids, say something about it. If your parents say it to you, say something about it. Because
Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakat, Badash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Bayath and Dawada, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad. I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. So, what you see here on the screen is, a so-called white man delivers a brutal truth to Asian Americans, and this is nothing but the cold, harsh truth coming from a devil himself. White folks, so-called white folks, will never be your allies. And you so-called Asians, Moab and Ammon, you guys have been duped by this devil ever since you became confederate with him against the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans and Seminole Indians, the Israelites. You have been duped by this devil in making a business transaction with him to keep us, Israelites, oppressed. You think, even though you've been benefiting from, doing dealings with this devil, but at the same token, same time, he's not giving you any leeway. He's not giving you that much leeway either, because he hates you too. And yet you Asians want to clown on us, yet you don't even realize that this devil is just using you to do his bidding, because ultimately Edom hates Jacob, and that's why he's using you and the other heathen nations, including Ishmael, Elam, Ham, Japheth, so on and so forth, to keep your feet down on our necks, man. So, Moab and Ammon, you guys have been prideful for too long, and the Lord's about to put you to shame. So we're going to go to the book of, go to Ezekiel. In fact, let me go to the book of Psalms. Psalms 83 and verse 3, and it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. So, you heathen nations, along with the Edomites, came to a mutual agreement to oppress Israel, to discontinue us from our heritage. Ultimately, it's Yahweh Bashim Yahushai that did it. But you heathens, man, you join hand in hand with the wicked. Verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarites, Gebal and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Verse 8, Ashur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. So all you heathens are gonna get what you righteously deserve. But even though this video is pointing more so towards the so-called Asian community, Moab and Ammon, so I'm gonna get Ezekiel chapter 25, and it says, starting at verse 1. And when you can watch the rest of the video on your own time, I'll play some of what I'm done. But you Asians, you set up your shops in the slums, in the communities where Jacob mostly dwells. Me personally, in a lot of ways, a lot of you so-called Asians are more prideful and more racist than Esau Edom himself. Really. A lot of you act that way, but you want to be like Esau Edom. You kiss the so-called white man's ass so much. You have your nose up his ass so much. Not realizing that this devil talks as much shit about you behind your back as he does us. This is Ezekiel chapter 25, verse 1. It says, the word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, verse 2, Son of man, set thy face against the Ammonites, and prophesy against them. Verse 3, and say unto the Ammonites, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because thou saidst, aha, against my sanctuary, when it was profaned, and against the land of Israel, when it was desolate, and against the house of Judah, when they went into captivity. Okay? When Israel went into captivity under the Babylonians, these heathens, they desecrated the temple, right? The homeland. Okay? Profaned it. Verse 4, behold, therefore I will deliver thee to the men of the east for a possession, and they shall set their palaces in thee, and make their dwellings in thee. They shall eat thy fruit, and they shall drink thy milk. And I will, in verse 5, and I will make Rabbah, which is the capital of the city of Ammon, and I will make Rabbah a stable for camels, and the Ammonites a couching place for flocks. And when we look up a couching place, a place of lying down, a place of rest, so a place of comfort. A couching place for flocks, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. Verse 6, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, thou hast clapped thine hands and stamped with thy feet, and rejoice in the heart with all thy despite against the land of Israel. So, the pride of these heathens, man, especially Moab and Ammon, they had their past judgments back then. But this judgment that's coming, World War III, this is going to be the ultimate judgment. Okay? Verse 7, it says, behold, therefore I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and will deliver thee for a spoil to the heathen, and I will cut thee off from the people, and will cause thee to perish out of the countries. I will destroy thee, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh. Verse 8, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because that Moab and Seir do say, behold, the house of Judah is like unto all the heathens. So there you go, Moab and Edom, join hand in hand against Israel. Verse 9, therefore, behold, I will open the side of Moab from his cities, which are on his frontiers, the glory of the country, Beth Jeshemoth, Baalmeon, and Kiriathaim. So, like I said, man, these other heathen nations, they got their judgment in past time where they were, taken down, put to shame, put in captivity to other nations as well. But, this upcoming judgment is going to be the worst of the worst. Okay, verse 10, unto the men, for the heathen, but for us, it's going to be glorious. Verse 10, unto the men of the east with the Ammonites, and will give them in possession, that the Ammonites may not be remembered among the nations. So, even those judgments, Moab and Ammon, they were taken down and put under the feet of other nations. In verse 11, it says, and I will execute judgments upon Moab, and they shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Okay? So both Moab and Ammon, like I said in the past, they got their asses kicked. And here they are doing dealings with Esau, Edom, not realizing that this man cares not for them, in the least. So, like I said, it's only a matter of time. Okay? Yeah, I can also get Jeremiah 48. And it says, here, Jeremiah 48:1, against Moab thus said Yahweh of hosts, the power of Israel, woe unto Nebo, for it is spoiled. Kiriathaim is confounded and taken. Misgab is confounded and dismayed. Verse 2, there shall be no more praise of Moab and Heshbon. They have devised evil against it. Come and let us cut it off from being a nation. Also, thou shalt be cut down, O madman. The sword shall pursue thee. A voice of crying shall be from Horonaim, spoiling and a great destruction. Verse 4, Moab is destroyed. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. For in the going up of Luhith, continual weeping shall go up. For in the going down of Horonaim, the enemies have heard a cry of destruction. Swap here. So, flee, verse 6, flee, save yourselves, save your lives, and be like the heath in the wilderness. For because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou shalt be taken, and Chemosh, which is the god of the Moabites, shall go forth into captivity with his priests and his princes together. And the spoiler shall come upon every city, and no city shall escape. The valley also shall perish, and the plain shall be destroyed, as the Lord Yahweh hath spoken. Okay? Now I'm going to drop down to verse 11, where it says, Moab hath been at ease from his youth, and he hath settled on his lease, and hath not been empty from vessel to vessel, neither hath he gone into captivity. Neither, therefore, his taste remained in him, and his scent is not changed. Therefore, so, like I said, a lot of these heathen nations during their time, they've been at ease. Okay? Verse 12, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send unto him wanderers that shall cause him to wander. Okay? Send people that are going to come and pillage his land, take everything from him, and kick him out of his own land. And shall empty his vessels and break their bottles. And Moab shall be ashamed of Chemosh, and the house of Israel was ashamed of Bethel in their conference. Okay? Just like how Israel was into idol worship, put to shame because of it and taken down. So it's going to be the same thing with Moab. Now for Ammon, in the book of Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 1, concerning the Ammonites, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, hath Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in his cities? Verse 2, therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites, and it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughter shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith the Lord Yahweh. Verse 3, howl, O Heshbon, for I is spoiled. Cry, ye daughters of Rabbah, gird you with sackcloth, lament and run to and fro by the hedges. For the king shall go into captivity, and the priest and his princes together. Okay, so when it's time for these nations to go down and we're back on top, we're going to take them for a possession. All right, let me find that. Let's see. Take the nations for a possession. There we go. Psalms chapter 2, verse 8. It says, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Okay? You, Moabites, and Ammonites, you will be our possession. We will own you. Get ready, because it's coming. I go to verse 1. It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Verse 2, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed. So, these heathens, why do they rage? Because, one, they want to be the ones that have the power. But they can see that this society and everything that they're trying to strive for is starting to fall apart. It's just going to go back to the law of nature, which is survival of the fittest. All right, I'm going to close out with this. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, starting at verse 46. And it says, and thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Verse 47, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. For thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions, therefore saith the power. So again, Asia has been brown-nosing Babylon, aka America. But now that you Moabites and Ammonites, you finally come around, and now you're realizing that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians are not the problem. It's the so-called white man that's the problem. And now that you got a lot of these, so-called black people, Israelites, that are boycotting your businesses, you're starting to understand that, being against us and siding with this devil, it's really not for your benefit. It's really to your own hurt. Following the ways after Babylon, aka America, following the ways of Esau, Edom, and it says here in verse 49, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, which means that a lot of women will lose their husbands, poverty, being poor, being trash, having nothing, homeless, famine, no food, no water, nothing, to starve, to thirst, sword, war, pestilence, disease, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. In verse 50, and the glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Okay? And you all seen what happens to a flower when it doesn't get no water and it's in that heat in the sun. Just dries and shrivels up and it dies. Verse 50, or verse 51, thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one chastised with wounds, so that the mighty and lovers shall not be able to receive thee. You're going to be all battered, beaten, broken, and worthless. You heathen nations are going to get your asses whooped. Courtesy of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And it's going to be glorious for us. So Moab and Ammon, you know, your pride is going to soon turn to shame. You know, trying to be like the white man and saying that dark skin is bad and all that shit. Because, you know, and the thing is, especially in the city that I'm in, a lot of Moabites and Ammonites, man, y'all got a stick up your ass. Y'all do. Y'all really got your heads up your asses, man. Seriously. And with that, I hope that this lesson was edifying. You can go watch this video on your own time. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching His word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Bayath and Dabadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. See you in the next lesson, Lord willing. Kwam Yasharala, Wa Abba Babal, Shalom, Barakatam.
Talk about protecting our skin from harmful UVA and UVB rays without resorting to racism. Not wanting to get skin cancer is race neutral, it's not colorist, but saying you got so dark you look like a black person, that's really weird. And every Chinese person has heard it at least once. Chinese people as a collective have also learned anti-blackness from their colonizers, like from our mutual hater. And they think that shitting on black people will somehow make them whiter. Like, I hear Chinese people in China and in the US just parroting the most harmful stereotypes that white people had just made up about black people. When white people aren't even saying those things anymore, they have learned neoliberalism. They have learned to say, I don't see color. They've learned to hide their racism at least a little better, and then Chinese people are out here doing the work for white people. Thought we were done with the century of humiliation. What are you guys doing? And this is hurting actual Chinese and black people inside our community. There are African Chinese mixed people who y'all don't even consider Chinese because they have African ancestry.
Somebody needs to explain to me why is this? Why do they think they're white?
Okay, I wish I could search that video, but basically that person is asking, this person wants to know why so many Korean Americans try so hard to be white, or in other words, why do so many Korean Americans try so desperately hard to be accepted by white people, and why do we think that we will benefit from white supremacy? And the answer is U.S. imperialism. It's always U.S. imperialism. Particularly migration pathways that were carved out by military occupations. So let me explain. When I was really young, my mom used to always tell me, oh, if you go to Korea, if you live in Korea, people are going to hate you. And I remember that confusing me so much as a kid because why? Why would they hate me without knowing me? And so I tried to, press her for an answer, and she would just say, oh, it's for a reason. They're just jealous that you get to live in the U.S. Flash forward, I'm in school or college, and I'm taking Asian American Studies courses, classes in critical race studies, and I'm like, oh, I get it now. A lot of us already know the U.S. is not this benevolent country that takes care of its citizens, let alone immigrants, indigenous people, even its own veterans. And abroad, the U.S. terrorizes the global south through military occupation and other means, which includes Korea. You don't ever hear about or see people in Korea, Korean people in Korea, protesting U.S. occupation, but it's there. And there's still this dream or hope of both Koreas one day reuniting or being reunified. Very generally speaking, more recent Korean immigration into the U.S., or maybe I should say from the 1970s onwards, these are people who have the means to. They have the money, the capital, the resources, the social connections, and maybe even more importantly, they want to come live here. So are the people who resent the US for imposing themselves into the homeland, dividing the nation into two, and in the process separating families forever, are they going to want to uproot their lives to live in the country responsible for that pain and suffering and ultimately this loss of self-determination? Or are the people who sympathize with the US and view the country as this welcoming, benevolent nation, as the saviors almost for coming into the war, are they going to be the ones to want to move and live here? The people that immigrated are probably people who sympathized with US involvement in the war and who also subscribed to the idea of the American dream. And generally speaking, tended to be of the ruling class, and they get here, they either become disillusioned by it, the American dream, and start to question the ideas they've been told, or they hang on to it even tighter, and blame other groups of people, other groups of marginalized people, for not being able to self-actualize this dream. This is just coming from my experience, observations, things that I've learned as a Korean American who has family members on both ends of the political spectrum. But, and again, I'm simplifying things a lot, but I also think that this general idea or explanation could also be applied to other East Asian and Southeast Asian communities. And if this topic interests you at all in the slightest, I highly, highly, highly recommend reading Haunting the Korean Diaspora by Grace Cho. It's a small book, but kind of heavy because it gets into some really dark stuff. But yeah, that's my answer.
I've seen a lot of Asian people get on this app and other apps claiming that Asian people have only committed those 2 crimes against Black children. And those 2 crimes that were committed were both anti-Black hate crimes. Okay, that's the real truth right there. And my question to them was, can you give me any incidences where a Black person harmed an Asian child out of anti-Asian hate crimes?
If Black folks boycotting Asian businesses is what it takes to fast-track Asian folks into deconstructing their internalized white supremacy and anti-Blackness, so be it. Boycott. I didn't apologize to the Black community in my video yesterday so that y'all would magically trust me or forgive Asian people suddenly. I apologized to hold my people accountable because the Asian community owes an apology and the Black community deserves to receive an apology. Is it enough? No. But is it one grain of rice in the direction of repair? I believe so. Trust can only be rebuilt through action, so I will continue educating Asian folks in my life, both online and in real life, to deconstruct the internalized white supremacy and anti-Blackness. Because Black folks are some of the most soulful, caring people I know, and y'all deserve better.
Asian.
Celebrate summer in style during the